How's it going, YouTube? So today I want to show you guys how to make cinematic videos for your YouTube and Instagram with your FPV drone, even on a super bright day like this. I'm going to show you what to do with your GoPro, what to do with your camera settings, and how to edit and upload so it looks as good as it possibly can. So let's get everything set up. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get your camera settings right. So I'm going to be using this guy right here, the GoPro 11, but we're going to have to change this out because this lens isn't going to work. Since it's so sunny today, I'm going to go ahead and slap this ND32 right on top. So now we can go ahead and boot up the GoPro. And basically what we want to do here is make sure we're on 4K 24. Okay, edit these settings. I have hyper smooth off. If you're someone who's not using Real Steady Go, you can leave it on if you choose to, but I'm leaving it off. I'm on super view, 4K 24. High bit rate, very important. 10-bit color, if you're doing color grading, turn that on. Shutter speed, make that 1/48 if you're doing 24 frames. Basically just multiply your frame rate by 2 and use that. I'm on auto white balance because I think it's going to do a good enough job. And then ISO min and max. Usually I want it locked, but just for today, I'm going to set it to 400 on max. And then just in case if I fly into some darker areas, it'll adjust. Color is on natural. You can do flat if you want to color grade more, but this is fine for me. Sharpness on medium. And then the rest of it doesn't really matter too much. So once you have those settings, just make sure your exposure is good. Point it at the sky, and then you're good to go. So here I'm going to give you guys a huge tip, all right? So if you got a mount, like this one on your FPV drone, make sure to use something like this, okay? So this allows you to mount your GoPro vertically, and let me show you what that looks like. Now you really just want to try to match the angle. And it's got a really wide angle, so don't worry too much about it. The main important thing is you want to make sure you're filming vertical with this mount, because that's what's going to get you the best looking video on YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels or TikTok, wherever you're posting them. Since everything's going vertical nowadays, if you want to get the most high quality vertical video, this is the way to do it. Another pro tip is, if you're not sure if you're exposed properly, is to look at your GoPro app and connect to your GoPro. And this way you can get a good idea, you know, is the sky super overexposed, is the ground how you want it to be. It's hard to tell from this camera, but yeah, trust me, this is a good way to just double check your work. So guys, now that we got the footage, it's time to crack it open, get it into your computer, and from here we can do some editing and I can show you the rest of the process. All right, so I got the footage onto my computer here. It's sitting in this file, just called it after the name of the park that I flew at. It's thrown into here. Next thing that I'm doing here is throwing it into the GoPro player and logging in with my Real Steady Go account. That's in the Microsoft Store. That's how I have mine linked. If you're on Mac, I don't 100% know how to activate it, but pretty much it's just an app, so I'm sure it's in the App Store. So now for the next step, I'm gonna set my in and out trims for the video clip. So I'm pretty much just gonna do the whole thing because I wanna play around with it in my post editing. So just go to the end where I'm not really flying anymore, but before I'm landing. Yep, somewhere in there is fine. Press the check mark, and I've already set my settings. If you wanna take a look at my settings, well, I was gonna show you, but I think it's crashing. All right, so gonna do it again. Drag it in. Here's my settings. So pretty low smoothness added and pretty fast cropping speed. You can adjust that however you want to make it look a little bit better for whatever you have going on. Apologize for all the fan noise. I know that's obnoxious, but hey, my computer's trying its best. And I might actually tune this a little bit. Let's just do a quick playthrough and see what it looks like. I find I like this with a little bit of a faster zooming speed. It looks a little more natural usually to me, so I'm just gonna roll with that. Trim in, sure, trim out, and we're just gonna export that. And now for the quality of the settings, make sure it's in 4K. And then I'm gonna use Cineform on quality high, and this is gonna give you the most flexibility, retains the most data for when we go to color grade in the edit, and it just keeps most of the quality in when we go to export it again in the final edit. And now it's just gonna export. It's gonna take, depends on how fast your computer is, it'll take a few minutes, you know, whatever it ends up being. And then after that, we're gonna throw the clips into your favorite editing software, and I'll meet you in, for me, it's Adobe Premiere Pro right now, so I'll meet you guys over there. Alright, so now that we got Premiere Pro open, we're gonna make a new project. Call it whatever you want. Mine's just gonna be similar to my folder. Alright, so now we just need to pull in those smoothed out video clips. They should be MOV files. Just go ahead and bring them in, not into the effect controls. Make sure you're on, for me it's my editing mode. You just need to make sure you're dragging into your project window. Boom. Or the timeline, whatever works. And you can see everything's sideways. I don't like that. So the trick here is, see, both of them are sideways. Trick here, we're literally just gonna turn them 90 degrees. Boom. Same for this one, 90 degrees. Okay, now you're like, wow, that looks terrible. They don't make any sense. Okay, sequence settings. And what you're gonna wanna do here is just flip these two numbers for the aspect ratio, like that. And you can leave everything else the same. Don't worry about that, it's just gonna change the previews. And now you can see we have the full version of the clip, but it's now vertical, just like how we shot the video in the first place. Now typically I delete the audio on these because I don't like the sound of the drone being super loud, so I just cut it out entirely. And this is where I'll go onto Instagram or wherever and find an audio that I want to use, or if I already had one in mind, then I would paste it over now. Or you can use your own original and make it however you want to. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna go find one that I like and go ahead and use it on here. Alright, so I've been searching for an audio that I want to use for a little while. So I'll show you what it's called. I'm not gonna play it because I don't know what if YouTube likes it. So it's called I Found by Amber Run. And it's just a nice slow song. So let's go ahead and find it on the internet. And then I'm gonna throw it on here so we can kind of match up the music to what the video looks like. So I don't lose sight of what I want. So now I'm just gonna try to sync up which part of the audio I'm actually using from the Instagram clip, the part that's trending. Try to line that up in my timeline, and then I'll start editing from there. All right, so we got it lined up pretty good. So now pretty much what I'm gonna do is just go through, watch it one time through, and just see what comes to my mind on how I want to edit it. Honestly, that's pretty darn good timing, I think. But I intentionally did this spin away on this shot because I want to do some motion blur and basically have it snap back to the original shot. Try to make it look sort of like a loop. So let's see how we can try to do that. So first, I think to set it up, I'm actually gonna speed up this first part by going to time remapping with the keyframes and just starting out with a little bit of a faster speed, maybe 300%. Let's see what that looks like. All right, so I want to kind of make that a little bit smoother. So the reason why I'm doing the editing on the front end of this is because what I'm actually gonna do is cut that there, say here for example, and what I want to do is bring it to the back side of this, and then when I do my transition, when it loops back, it'll go right back to the next frame. So that's what makes it you know, a good loop. An even better loop would be is if the end of the shot looks almost exactly like the beginning of the shot, or if it's moving perfectly in the exact same direction. I didn't really go into the shot with that idea. I just wanted to get this. So pretty much you can see here, we're both moving to the left. Both these shots are moving to the left. The only thing is that it looks like I might have to line it up a little bit better. So like you can see where the houses and stuff in the background are. If we can line the height of those up a little bit better, it's gonna be a lot smoother. You can see already. just keeps the horizon in the same spot. It looks a lot smoother. So then when I throw these together, I'll just add some motion blur over the top of them, and it'll look a lot better as the end result. And I'm gonna make this whole situation a nested layer. And now that this is all one nested layer, what I'm gonna do is start throwing on some effects, and that's where we can bring in the motion blur like I was talking about. I'm doing this because if you don't know about Premiere Pro, if you do any time remapping and also adding motion blur effects or other effects, a lot of the times it doesn't like it, and it kind of doesn't, one of them usually doesn't work, it glitches out. But if you nest the clip like this, it kind of pre-renders it, and then you can add in your effects later. So let's go ahead and find some sort of a video effect, some sort of blur effect. I might just do directional blur here, and then we're gonna keyframe it to that spot in the end of the video. So we already have some natural motion blur here, but all I'm gonna do is add a little bit more, so that way it bleeds into the next clip, and then it looks a little bit better. So direction is fine. We don't really need to change the direction. What we need is the blur length. So yep, we're gonna start there. I want to look a little bit closer here on our keyframes. Moving to say here, and then in the middle of these two, right about there, is where we're gonna have the most blur, right? And then the direction, I want it to be facing in the same way we're spinning. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball this. Looks about like that. So let's go ahead and play through, see what it looks like. All right, so I think I can do a little bit better than that. So I think I know what this needs. It needs a little bit of time remapping at the end of this clip so we can match the speeds. So all I'm gonna do is first go to here, and then speed. Okay, we're already on there. I'm just gonna drag this out a little bit and make this a little bit faster right at the end of the clip. So I think what I might do is just add a little bit more blur here, go a little crazy. So what we can do as well is, instead of having these as linear, we can make this ease out, and then this one ease in, and it should be a little bit smoother overall. So something that helps sometimes make it a little bit smoother is if I add some lens distortion as we go through the transition. It makes it just a little bit smoother, and it hides those edges when it's really blurry, hides the dark edges. So one thing I'll do is go maybe like, I don't know, negative 40, something like that. And do the same thing with our ease out, ease in, like that, and then see what that looks like. Yeah, so usually that looks just a little bit smoother. The other thing you can do is drag it out just a little bit more. And it just gives it more of like you're being pulled through the transition. It's hard to explain the effect, but I find that it helps a lot rather than just having the blur effect by itself. So I'll show you the blur effect, and then we'll add the distortion and see which one you like better. And actually, I'll show you no effects, then we'll do with the blur, and then with all three together, and you can decide how you like to do it best, and then see if you learned anything here from it. So that's with nothing. That was with blur, and then we'll add the distortion. And it's just a little bit of sauce, you know, like nothing crazy, just adds a little bit. And now you can see when I make it so it loops back, now you'll be able to see how we loop back to the beginning, and it's a pretty smooth loop. So yeah, nothing too special there. This is pretty much all I'm gonna do for the edit. And now is one of the most important parts, which is just the color grade. So this part, you want to make sure that when you're doing color grading, each monitor, each screen is different. So if you have like a Mac, laptop, or anything like that, those screens are usually pre-color calibrated. So that means they should be pretty color accurate. The one I'm using right now is not perfect, so a lot of times I'll use my laptop screen I have here, which is a color accurate OLED screen, to get a decent color grade. For most of these, I do pretty good of a job just with my widescreen monitor, even though it isn't perfect. So to do that, go to color, and you can start to push and pull things. And you can also use these Lumetri scopes to help you guide, you know, are things over or underexposed? What color are you mostly focused on? So as you can see, our blues have been really pushed down, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm a big fan of the blues, so I might turn some more bias towards the blue temperature. One thing I do a lot of times, if you have one screen that is color accurate and one that is not, but you prefer to edit on one, for example, I have a widescreen monitor up here, which helps me edit, but it's not color accurate. So what I'll do a lot of times is duplicate my display. And pretty much by doing that, I now have the same screen showing on both my screens. And I can get a good idea of how accurate are the colors that I'm actually looking at. Click up here to see a little before and after. So this is just kind of, to me, it's brightening up the image. It makes it look a little more accurate. And what I want to do is add a lot of contrast, but I don't actually want there to be so much color. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring up the shadows just a little bit. I want the contrast, but I don't want it to be so far into the darkness there. I'm gonna add a little bit of a faded film effect just to keep the blacks up a little bit. Just sort of a stylistic change. And then saturation, I'm gonna bring saturation down quite a bit. Come into the color saturation, hue saturations, and I'm just gonna increase the yellow quite a bit. But see, if you go too far, it looks a little bit unrealistic. So I'll just pull it up to about there, and I just want to scrub through and see, like, that's maybe a bit much. So we'll pull it down to around there. I think that still looks realistic, but adds a lot of color. And my main focus point for this shot is really this building. So I want to try to make it special. So one thing you can do is just eye drop on whatever the subject is and just get a good idea of what the colors actually are that make it up. And if you shift to this mode, you can get a good idea as well of what it looks like when you pull or push the colors around. So I'm trying to give it a little bit more of an orange tint. It already has it. I'm just trying to accentuate it a little bit, but I don't want to go so far that it doesn't really look right. So what I'm trying to do also is expand the colors that it's pulling from a little bit, just to actually get the entire tower in the color shift. You see it just brightens up the oranges a little bit. I think it makes the towers look a little bit more special. It also changed the trees in the background a little bit and the dirt, but I'm actually okay with that. I think it looks good. And now just to add a little bit more to this whole video, we have lyrics to the song, so why not put them on screen and just give it a little more of an emotional vibe. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom ahead a little bit on that. I've been talking to you guys a lot through this, and I'll kind of show you the little bits and tips of what I've done with the text, and we can just move on from there. Alright guys, so I'm gonna show you what I did for the text animations and everything like that. So it's pretty simple. I just made a little text preset. I can show you the font here. So it's RSGO script, regular. I centered everything, bold, italicized with a little bit of a shadow. That's basically it. And then I positioned all of them in the same spot on the screen. And then the only thing that's different is the word love is just a simple, whatever I used here, Tahoma, like literally default text. Just because I wanted that word to stand out, no other reason than that. And then also I keyframed towards the end here when we get to the little tower, again to make it stand out just a little bit more. When the text starts, the towers are blocking it here. So I keyframed it out so that way once you finally go around the towers, it reveals the words that come next in the lyrics. So that's basically all I did with that is on the opacity layer for my text, I just masked a path in this shape so that if you follow the keyframes, it follows the edge of the tower. So yeah, nothing too crazy going on there. Let's go ahead and export this guy out. I'll show you the settings and then we can go ahead and watch it all the way through. All right, so to export, I'm doing Control M or Command M on my timeline. Opens up our export window. I'm gonna change the name, and now I actually have kind of a name based on the song here. So it's I Found Love. Awesome. Gonna change the folder in which it's going to. And then for quality, I have a preset already made for 4K vertical video. But this is actually something I've been playing around with. I've been reading different settings and what works for people the best. And I'm gonna try what somebody else did, which was just 1080p, H.264. Obviously we need to be in vertical, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip the aspect ratio. So we're gonna match the source there, but I'm gonna reduce it to 1920. Okay, perfect, 1920 by 1080. Exactly what we want. Maximum depth, maximum render quality, perfect. Hardware encoding, perfect. Rec 709, perfect. And I'm gonna do a VBR2 pass at 12 megabits and one at 24. And I'm gonna make sure to save this preset. You can save it if you want to as well, but I'm doing a little bit of trial and error here. So boom, now we have ourselves a video clip. So let it export and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. All right, so let's go ahead and give it a watch. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's how you record a cinematic video for your Instagram Reels using an FPV drone. So hopefully this whole step through helped you guys a little bit to make videos if you're trying to get into FPV and learning how to do higher quality videos for whatever social media vertical format you're trying to use. So if you'd like to learn more about editing or how to get videos like this, make sure to stick around and leave a comment below what you think I should make a video on next, if it's editing or if it's more about making videos with the FPV drone or anything like that. Let me know. And stick around if you like car content too, because I got some more stuff coming for that. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.